Hello, Pat.
Hey Pearl, how's it going? Happy New Year.
All right. Happy New Year. Honestly, wow. Half of the month is already gone, huh?
I know. Time flies when you're having fun.
Well, welcome. Welcome to Town Square Talk.
Yes.
This is
I'm Pat
our,
Alva-Kraker,
mhm.
speaker coach and author. Glad you're here.
And my name is Pearl Peng. I am the CXO and entrepreneur advisor, strategist, and speaker. Welcome to Town Square Talk. This is our very first episode, right, Pat, of
Yes, so welcome
2021.
to our first episode. And our mission is to provide content on health, wealth, career, and entrepreneurship for professionals and business owners, and to provide a community of support and encouragement.
Absolutely. Here we are. So, what do we have in store for our audience today?
Wow. Well, the most successful businesses stay on top of the industry,
Mhm.
health, and business trends. And tonight, Pearl and I will be covering a few of the latest health and business trends for 2021. And we are going to start with health.
And
So,
why is that, right?
and
Why
no,
do we
I
start with health?
wonder why. It begins with a C.
Without health, we'd have nothing, right?
Oh my God, that's true. That is so true. That's so true.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, Corona 19, COVID 19, coronavirus
Hmm.
was a reminder that health is transient, and it can change at any time. And for many, that's led us to look for products that would support and build our immune system so that we're better prepared for any type of illness. And it's been really interesting what's happening in the industry. In response to this, the food industry has taken note from the supplement industry. And what they're doing is they're creating products and have added nutrients that support the immune system to their foods,
Hmm.
such as zinc, selenium, vitamin C, and vitamin D. So there is a shift in adding that into our foods. What's more is that alternative remedies are, have and are expected to increase in sales in 2021. Things like elderberry, echinacea, turmeric, and ginger, just to name a few. These are the top selling herbal supplements that are known for increasing your immune system. And to be honest, I personally cook with turmeric. And in the morning, I drink hot water with lemon and ginger in it. And I know, Pearl, you've got some amazing morning habits too, and are using some of these. So how are you using them in your life?
It's interesting that you mentioned that, Pat. It's so important to really consult with your healthcare professionals on
Mhm.
what to choose and what to
Yeah,
take, because guess what, a lot of these supplements, right, have sort of similar ingredients, so you may have a bit of the overdosing on certain things, which may not be what you want, right? So in terms
exactly.
of what I'm taking, clearly it's something that between me and my honey, we are kind of buddying together, and this is all good to do that as well with your household. So your whole household's vitamin intake and supplements you want to kind of look at. So I totally do take quite a few of those that you just mentioned.
Hmm.
For example, zinc for me is 50
Yeah.
milligram, and yet I see my multivitamin has a little bit more as well. So guess what? I had to switch my vitamin too. So again, you do want to look into what is good and what is not so good when you have too much of it.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes, absolutely. So caution always and everything in moderation.
Hmm.
So we've talked about the supplements that are really the most popular, which is vitamin A, B, C, D, zinc,
Hmm.
and of course probiotics, which you find in yogurt.
Yeah.
And there's also specific fruits and vegetables that increase the immune system, such as citrus fruits. Citrus fruits, almost all the citrus fruits are really high in vitamin C. And yet there is even one vegetable that has more vitamin C than citrus fruits. red bell peppers.
Mhm.
So if you're a lover of red bell peppers,
Love it.
by all means, this is something that you want to incorporate onto your salads and your foods because they have a high volume of vitamin C. And of course, broccoli. We all know that broccoli has vitamin A, D, and E. And garlic, a clove of garlic. Garlic is almost in every cuisine in the world. And so adding a clove of garlic. In fact, I know people that actually just eat the clove of garlic, without even thinking twice. You might have to worry about the breath, but it's still, I see a lot of people practice that, and as well as ginger. And ginger is another flowering plant that is very, very good, which I love to cook with too.
And I just wanted to jump in to mention that they are odorless garlic, right?
Yeah, there
So,
is.
yeah. So if
Yeah.
you would get those supplements, that would be helpful. On
The
top of
other
it, sorry about
increase,
that.
um,
Sorry about that. And also wanted to just remind folks, um, eating too much garlic isn't good either.
yeah,
So just, I mentioned that earlier on that you do want to consult with your healthcare practitioner, but a lot of people don't know about garlic. Too much is actually going to be harmful. So yeah.
good points. Good points. I mean, essential oils are also on the rise.
Mm.
They're known for building the immune system. I personally love essential oils. I use them daily. And the ones that we're talking about are common. You've heard of them: lavender, lemon, eucalyptus, peppermint, and tea tree. All of these essential oils are very good, and they're known for building your immune system. They have antiviral properties, and they're good for colds and flus, such as peppermint and eucalyptus for breathing. So you can get a lot out of really your own cupboard. And just to know that people are still focusing on their health. Building their immune system is still very important. And I think we really have come back to really focusing on our health, and just making it a priority. And of course, nothing beats a good night's rest, exercise, and of course, breath work. I mean, Pearl and I are deep into breath work and the importance of really breathing in from your belly, and of course meditation. So meditation is good for relaxation, and we're helping you relax and get to sleep, but it is also a tool that builds your immune system.
Yeah, that is a super important trend, boosting your immunity these days, right? So there's just so many pieces
Mm-hmm.
that must be addressed. It's not just one over the other. We're such
Mm-hmm.
complex being. Yes. So, audience, welcome. If you just joined us, feel free to type in the chat, tell us where you're calling in from, and if you have any specific tips that works really awesome for you or your family, your friends, please feel free to share with us in the chat box.
Absolutely. So Pearl, what is health trend number 2?
Health trend number 2. Oh my gosh, that is really my new topic that I like to talk about, is about mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Mental health, unfortunately, used to be a stigma to talk about, right? People hush hush about it and they don't address it soon enough. And there has been so much tragedy, unfortunately, could have been avoided by starting to address mental health sooner than later. So, mental health, the trend is that it's no longer a stigma these days. It's actually talking about it, right? More and more, addressing it with the proper, appropriate attitude is the trend. Thank goodness. Aren't you glad
Yes.
that we're in this era now rather than the previous ones?
Mm-hmm.
So that is basically something that like I said, I really love talking about it, not very directly. It's just, especially, I'm a yoga teacher as an example. I would always bring folks into their mindfulness about how they practice their yoga, right? They're really observing and becoming more and more aware about where they are internally. So that is, again, part of what mental health is about, is really inviting whoever you're talking with to journey inward, to really look inside and tune inside. Close the eyes, especially when you do yoga or qigong practice or any holistic practice, meditation. That is so fascinating that I'm seeing this is being taught, right, in so many different disciplines. So it's not reserved for anybody special, right?
Mhm.
Let's just face it, at any time in our life, right, we're going to feel so much stressed and can feel depressed. That's
Yes.
how we're wired, you
Yeah.
know? And that's exactly why our body is kind of telling us, pay attention. This is what's happening right now,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Oh my God, pull my hair, I'm so freaking stressed out and all that stuff, and you started to go, this and that, and this is not good, and so on. And guess what? Before you know it, you go, what the heck am I doing? Right?
Yeah, I
Can you
know.
catch yourself? So,
It begins with awareness.
absolutely.
Begins
That's
with
what
awareness.
mental health is all about to me. And there are, thankfully,
Mhm.
um, so much more affordable ways to
Yeah.
have therapists, right, to help you with that. So the first thing is, of course, to be self-aware. And secondly, you got to ask for help. So guess what? There's so much information on the internet, right? And it can be scalable to support income level. So there are a couple of websites. The National Alliance of Mental Health website, the NAMI, NAMI.org, is one, and the other is the mental health, exactly how it's spelled, mentalhealth.gov, to find clinics around you. So clearly, those things, those resources are available, and you totally do want to interview a few therapists. Don't jump right in
Yeah.
or get frustrated if the first one you talk to doesn't really quite serve your needs.
Mhm.
So make sure that you do interview enough people, right, to
Right.
decide on which one that you would really want to talk with.
Mhm.
And
And
go ahead.
many corporations offer mental health um, treatments and therapies, and companies are beginning to cover it. And what we're finding is that there's been an increase in that because of what's been going on with COVID 19 and just a little bit of chaos and maybe too much chaos for some people. And so we're seeing that increase in depression and feeling isolated and lonely, and there's no reason, right? There's no reason to be in that state.
Exactly. And that's, you know, more, I suppose, a silver lining in a way,
Mm-hmm.
by courtesy of COVID-19 from last year. It actually brings us to the spotlight more and more.
Mm-hmm.
So I highly, highly recommend everyone start from awareness, right? If you are really depressed, don't try to escape from it, hide it, or feel ashamed, or feel powerless. Why? Don't do that, right? It's not really serving you.
Mm-hmm.
So once you have that and start talking, with people you trust, firstly, and finding the resources out there. You can even have apps to help you once you find the right therapist,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That can support you with that. So there's just so much more tools out there that's so available to address this issue. It want to really totally empower yourself. So the empowerment is so accessible these days, honestly. So that's the second trend.
Yes, and of course, we talked about the vitamins and the foods that help you deal with
Yes.
mental health, and that would be like the vitamin B that we talked about, the zinc
Hmm.
and magnesium, fiber, healthy fats, and other proactive compounds such as probiotics. So there are some
Absolutely.
natural solutions.
Right. Once again, your professional should
Hmm.
support you and share with you what those, can be, what dosage it is, right? And for example, it's really ADHD has really discovered the fish oil, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's so much helpful with mental health, the ADHD situation. So, again, the dosage is varies, right, amongst folks. So clearly those supplements are something to discuss with your professionals.
Okay. So on to health trend number 3, which is localism. And
Yeah.
if there's anything that we've learned is the pandemic shutdown has really renewed appreciation for our local community,
Mm-hmm.
and especially the food purveyors. The grocery stores, the farmers markets, and restaurants are really taking a closer look at where they can source their foods from a local farmers market or local farmers, and so people are becoming very well aware of that. And going forward, there's going to be more of a growing interest really in purchasing and consuming locally grown food. And really, there's so many advantages to it. Not only does it support the local economy, and it's generally fresher, and it does have less of an impact on Mother Earth. So, farmers markets are a favorite. They're easy to find. You can go to the internet and search on the city and farmers market, and I'm sure that you will find at least one in your specific area.
Exactly. And especially for those of you who are lucky enough to live in sunny places like us in Florida, you in Texas, right?
Yep.
Basically, farmers market are, year round.
Yeah, they are. I am so grateful for that, and they're
Yes.
really a lot of fun to go and shop at, and just you find other goodies other than just fresh fruits and vegetables, and you're really contributing to a great cause and helping the economy, the local economy.
Exactly.
I know that
Take
a lot of
advantage
the
of that.
grocery stores have a section of local grocers and suppliers. So
Hmm.
in the grocery store that I go to, anytime there is a local product from Texas, they will put a big sign and say this product comes from, these melons come from South Texas or the city, and it's just encouraging to be able to buy locally. And the grocers really take pride in being able to outsource their vegetable from someone locally. And the other thing that I'm learning, Pearl, is that a lot of the consumers are interested in the company's backstory. So if there
Hmm.
are, if you go to the farmers market, people want to know how long have you been in the business, and is this a multi-generational family-run business? So we're interested in the history of our local farmers and our growers, and we're really taking more of an interest on the people that live around us and really support us in amazing ways.
Isn't that so true? I mean, wouldn't you want to know when you have grandmother's recipes and what's
Oh,
been working, right, through the generations? Why not take advantage of that,
mhm.
right? So it's rather than something that hasn't been quite proven, if it's been proven for so long, totally something that you want to continue to take advantage of and support.
Mhm.
So yeah, makes
Yeah,
sense.
and lastly, on localism is community gardens on the rise,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's great because I love when I drive by a neighborhood that has a community garden, and just how beautiful and lush and all the color. It's just amazing, and they're growing more and more, and
Yeah.
you can just do a search on the internet with a city and community gardens, and I'm sure that you will find one close to you.
And for those business owners and
Yeah,
leaders in that type of business, guess what, you can totally guide and create, different type of community gardens.
yes.
So think about it, right? It's
Mhm.
really important, especially when you have the type of environments that's so natural already in the warm climate. If not, then perhaps, create some sort of greenhouse if you
Greenhouse.
can. It's
Yes.
different business model, and we're going to talk about it when we start to talk about the business trends coming up.
All right. So, Pearl, tell us about health trend number 4.
Oof, health trend number 4 is something that I feel kind of more liberated, if you will.
Yeah.
It is about dieting. It's about our diet. It's actually been coming up trendy, talking about people be on this flexitarian diet. Okay, it's a new word to me.
New word
So
to the dictionary.
yeah, a flexitarian. So you're not just paleo, you're not just vegetarian, vegan, keto, whatever. So many different types of diets out there. How many times have you been on? I mean, Jesus, I have to use the name. I mean, even though I'm a Buddhist, it's like there are just so many different diet plans that just can get your head spinning. Don't eat this, eat that, and counting calories and all that. And guess what? The flexitarian diet gives the power back to you as consumers. Everybody has one body to care for, right? There's nobody else's body that you're responsible for. Thank goodness. Yes. So, with that in mind, what type of foods work for you can vary in your lifetime. There is some food sensitivity that can develop over time. I'll give you a personal example here. I used to eat eggs, 2 eggs a day, religiously when I was younger, because I love eggs. I love over easy eggs, scrambled eggs, omelets, however you call it. I just love eggs and how eggs are prepared. Guess what? Not too long ago, well, I have to say, almost 10 years already, time flies, I started to develop sensitivity to eggs. So I cannot eat eggs often anymore. And my mother, who loves me, of course, would ping me to say, oh, this meme, somebody created, eat 2 eggs a day. And I responded back to her, not me, can't do that anymore, right? So flexitarian really, for me personally, when I adopted, is the message for me is that be flexible in what you eat as you are mindful in what you're putting in your mouth. That's what flexitarian means to me. And there are some principles around flexitarian. Basically, it's eating mostly fruits, vegetables, legumes, and whole grains, and not so much meat, especially your red meat, right? So mostly plant-based. And it would be what they call vegetarians sort of principle. And you want to also focus on the protein from plants instead of animals.
Right.
Plants such as hemp or pea are really great sources of protein.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the third principle is be flexible, as I mentioned earlier, and incorporate meat and animal products from time to time. Principle number 4 is to eat the least processed and natural form of foods. And it's a no brainer. A lot of diets, a lot of health oriented um, eating programs totally have said that cut out your processed food, right?
Absolutely.
So that is not that different.
They're not
And
good for you.
yeah,
They are
and
not good for you. They're hard to digest, and
that's
yeah,
right.
not a good thing.
Exactly. And the very last one here is remove sugar.
Yeah. I know everything in moderation, but we know that sugar is not really good for us, and really we do get sugar in our fruits. So it's really eating natural sugar versus going in and adding sugar to anything that you're eating. Yeah.
And if you do need sweetness, guess what? Do stevia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do stevia or any other ones. I would totally recommend stevia. Um, Stay away from what's the call agave, because it can get a bit too much if you indulge on adding it too much. Stevia, yes, but at least it's better for you. It's in that glycemic index difference.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so stevia is totally the go-to, and don't go with saccharin. As you know, there's carcinogenous stuff
Yeah,
in
that's not good.
saccharin. So yeah, if you do need to go with sugar, go with stevia. So those are the principles of flexitarian diet, which I totally
Yeah,
love.
flexitarian, and it's really simple, right? If it's
Hmm.
growing on the ground, that's really what the focus should be, with very little protein. So I love
Exactly.
it. I love that we're moving back to a more natural way of eating and one that really aligns with each person's body. And
Yeah, so audience, if you have some experience in
yeah,
any diets, is this flexitarian, does it sound good to you? If it does sound good to you, give us some, reaction here. That would be
yeah, give us a
awesome.
thumbs up or a one or whatever
Yes.
to let us know that yeah, that we're heading
Yeah, it's
this way.
something that you might want to
Yeah, it
try.
aligns with you.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And
Ooh, we got a thumbs up. Hey, Gina, nice having you
hey,
here.
welcome, welcome. So health trend number 5 is dietary culture overhaul.
Hmm.
So Pearl mentioned earlier some of the most common diets, which in some cases are categorized as extreme diets, such as a keto, you know, whole food 30. They're too restrictive, and they're really no longer sustainable. And people are dropping off of them. And really, what's been growing is the meal kits. The meal kits, off are growing exponentially, and that's because not only do are we working from home, and we're also schooling, and so sometimes we don't have time to cook, but it's also we're looking for healthier options when we don't have time to cook instead of going out and buying junk food, fast food. And what I personally love is that they do the majority of the prep for you. So you're getting the things ready to cut at the right portions, and the measuring is already done for you, and it's very healthy food. And usually if you're used to buying takeout during the week, this is a healthy option. It comes to you, and it's very convenient. So I personally have tried one of these companies, and I am absolutely loving uh, the food, how it's packaged, how fun it is. My husband and I are cooking together, so we're really making the most out of these meal kits.
I love the
And
meal kits, and my
yeah, I
daughter,
love
my
that.
daughter does too. Every
Hmm.
time I talk with her, she would go, "We do Hello Fresh today with salmon, and what was that salmon
Yeah.
with cashew, I think, and walnuts, and it just sounds so yummy and so
It's
easy."
it's easy, and it's really healthy, and they have really good choices.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter how you eat; they've got an option for you. So that's really an amazing trend. Transparency is becoming also important. Consumers as Americans, we want to know what's happening in the food industry. We want to know how our food is prepared. We want to know what's in it. So that is becoming more and more of a trend where we are wanting to know the nutritional quality of the food. And so companies are having to invest some time and change their packaging and their labels so that we know exactly what are in their foods. So all the family, we talked about meal kits, and at one time they were primarily for adults. Well, you know what? These companies are now preparing snacks for children. So you can now bring in snacks from these meal kit delivery services, and they can be eating better.
Hmm.
And you're teaching your kids, good habits on how to cook, what to eat, and they're really good, especially when you have picky eaters. So, what we're also seeing is that there's a rise in plant-based options for children to support health and well-being. So, it's a great time to change the habits for your kids and to have them see what it is to be healthy and how enjoyable it can be.
Yeah,
So,
and I am just so excited that these days they have so many recipes for plant-based diet, making things yummy, right? Imagine if you would just tell them to eat plain, steamed veggies. Not many kids, right, would just go for it right away if you don't add some, say, delicious crushed, maybe, paste, almond paste, and add some nice cheese in it. If you're vegan, of course, some other ingredients such as perhaps adding, I'm trying to think of some fruits in it, if that's, something that you do. Some people don't like fruits in their vegetables, right? There's different preferences. That yet, my point really is here that we have so many choices, to get to really make sure that you can't shift the paradigm, right?
Yes.
Ultimately, it's really in your own head.
Mm.
Vegetables are yucky. I don't like vegetables, right?
I have a friend that won't eat anything that's green. Oh my
There you go.
God.
Yeah. So why
Why? Where did that come from? You know?
greens are for rabbits,
Yeah, I know.
or carrots are for rabbits?
I don't get it. I don't get it. So in summary, the five health habits are: one, we're really focusing on our immune system,
Mm-hmm.
and we're paying attention to the food, the nutrition, and the food growers are really, and the producers are really, really mindful of what they can put in their foods to help build the immune system. Number two is the focus on mental health and all the different options that you have, and how important it is to be aware and to act. It is becoming a topic that is more common in discussion now at the water cooler.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, please, there's a lot of options for you with the government, with NAMI, and your corporations. Number three is localism, going local, buying your fruits and vegetables from local producers,
Mm-hmm.
either in your community or in your state. And we talked about the flexitarian diet, which is primarily fruit and vegetable based with a little bit of protein. And then we talked about the diet culture overhaul and the use of meal kit delivery and all the healthy foods that come in there, not only for families and specifically for kids. And then we're asking the producers and the companies that produce our food. We want more transparency. Tell me what is in the food so that I can make better decisions. So with that, Pearl, why don't you take us into the business trends?
Yeah, business trends. Pow. The first thing is your business model innovation. Yeah. A lot of folks have to work from home because you guess what? We can't go anywhere. So if you're in business and say restaurant business, hotel business, right? Airline businesses, how are you gonna do? How are you gonna sell anything when people can't come to you? They can't, participate. So guess what? There are ways to serve people still. And even when you're not in those industries, there have been very different buying behaviors, right,
Mm-hmm.
from the general public. So,
Absolutely. We've
yeah,
had to pivot. Businesses have had to pivot.
exactly. And even B2B, business to business, right?
Mm-hmm.
The blockchain technology, we're going to address all that. Um, it's just, it has to be there. Increased security first and foremost, right? And the speed of, imagine you have to wait for your big check to, clear. Remember, we have to wait five business days for some amount over $20,000. You can't get a hold of your money for a good period of time. Why? So all things, even banks need to rethink how they do business, right? So the trend there is really kind of reflect on what's happened, yes, and start to look at how your business is doing, what's your numbers, what are the numbers telling you, and start to look into the opportunities, how you will do business differently. So your complete business model overhaul even. Yet,
Mm-hmm.
of course, not don't try to do everything, right? At
Right.
the same
Too
time.
overwhelming. Well, then
Yes,
you can't measure which change actually worked
that's exactly.
if you do
So,
that.
yeah, so with that, the business model innovation is the trend. A lot of the disruptive services, such as Uber, right, and such as WeWork, they didn't even exist. This is not, before pandemic, right? But with the pandemic, it's actually, creating this environment that will um, sort of even push in a way, right, business leaders to rethink how they do their business. So the business model innovation is trend number one to me, and that includes so much sort of ingredients, if you will. It includes how you really need to first and foremost rethink or clarify your mission and purpose of your organization, and how you would attract and keep your top talents, and also attract and keep your clients, with the mission and purpose of your organization being clear and being communicated across, so people understand, people get what you're trying to provide there, what you're serving there. So that's the first ingredient or first component of your business model innovation. The second thing is, of course, e-commerce and storefront. And it's kind of like a 1-2 punch to score some knockout revenues, right? So you got e-commerce and you have storefronts. And how do you focus? How do you sell on e-commerce, and how do you complement with the storefront, and vice versa? So you gotta.
Exactly. Exactly. We've lost the traffic from the downtown areas. Before, if you had a storefront, when people went out to lunch or they were getting their coffee, they would pass by your store, and you would get that traffic from the downtown areas or the metropolitan areas. And now we've lost that because a lot of the stores have closed. They're working from home, so now
Mhm.
we're having to go out to our neighborhoods
Yeah, that's a great
where we
example.
live and in our communities and actually set up storefronts there.
Yeah, it's a great example. I can also give you a, sort of the other side of the example is that, say if you have a retreat, right, that's out in the rural places, and guess what? You may be able to attract them, there, because it's wide and open, especially if it's sunny, right? So how do you do that attraction? People can't fly, then guess what? Attract your local people,
Mhm.
right? So how do you really create that offering? It's part of the rethinking with that storefront. And you can also offer them online retreat, so e-commerce, and
Mhm.
how you coordinate with each other, right? So
Absolutely.
that's all part of the business model innovation. And the other one is automation. Automation is really something, has been in place for years, but it's becoming more and more important. And automation includes your technology adoption, and talks about, considering your hardware, software, and your infrastructure, and, of course, protect and secure your data, making sure the data you collect, right, is not going to leak out, so your privacy of your clients, are protected. And with the AI, the artificial intelligence being applied, and it can really help greet and sort of interact with your clients initially. So especially for quite some repetitive and sort of mundane
Name.
type of tasks, that can be done by using the AI to support. And guess what? There's some more interesting ones, such as AR, which is artificial reality, artificial reality, and um, let's see, there's also virtual reality, augmented reality. Sorry,
Mhm.
AR is augmented reality, and virtual reality, and then there's mixed reality, right? So you can mix up with what you put this AR and VR environment, and they can totally be used to train people, believe it or
Mhm.
not, right? You can create that environment wearing that sort of designed AR, VR lenses, so that you can create some new environment for people to pick up new skills. So all these things can be done. And I don't even want to go to robotics in manufacturing, drones, and all the vehicle automation,
Yeah.
self-driving cars, and all kinds of stuff, depending on what business you're in. So if you're selling into businesses that do these things, you can start by rethinking how you would kind of create that type of business model. So all of these are part of the business model innovation trend.
Mhm. Yes, technology is moving at a faster rate, and it's one about making a decision on 20% of any automation that you bring into your company is going to produce 80% of the business results. So
Mhm.
you have to be very mindful about the 80-20 rule and the decisions that you make. They
Yeah,
all sound fantastic and interesting, and you want to do them all, but you've got to weigh them.
Exactly. Hence, you got to look at the numbers, right?
Yep.
And you, with the numbers, you start to plan out, prioritize, and you also need to look at your feasibility and look at your budgeting and so on, and decide on which one or two things, and perhaps three things top, depending on your budget and resources available. So,
Mhm.
so it's exciting. Honestly, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're both techies, so you can see how we're into this topic.
Love it, love it, love it.
Love it, love it, love. So business trend number two has to do
Mhm.
with workforce management and talent attraction. The percentage of people working at home has increased, and we've got to look at our workforce management from different perspectives. When we are, especially when you're doing it for the very first time, you're actually sending your teams to work from home. You got to make sure that they're equipped with everything that's going to make them successful. Do they have the right hardware, the right software at home to be able to be efficient and productive in their homes? And also, for some people, working at home becomes a lonely thing to do. They feel isolated. Maybe people got a lot of their needs met by going into the office, and now you have a gap that companies, you as an employer, have to take a look at. Is how are you going to keep your teams cohesive and happy, and where is that opportunity to continue that dialogue that would occur at the water cooler, so that you have happy employees and productive employees. And as Pearl talked about automation is also is occurring in human resources and the way we attract talent. So what's really important now is streamlining our processes and making sure that people who are applying for jobs in your company find it easy to do. So find it easy to do if they go to your computer, but also if they decide to apply for a job on their phone, your application process should lend itself to a phone, an iPhone, or a what's the other phone? I can't remember. I've done a blank.
Smartphone,
Oh, yeah,
Android
any of the
based, yeah,
smartphones. Yeah,
whatever, tablet, right?
it's
Whatever the
got to
mobility device, yes.
right. You have got to be able to have your processes be seen and adapted to these other mobile platforms. Because if someone is really talented and they want to apply for a job that you have, and they're frustrated with not being able to apply for the job on their phone, guess what? You're going to lose them.
Yes,
That's the last thing you want, is to lose people because your process was so outdated and not mobile friendly.
right.
So,
Yeah. And this trend is so much in relation to the business model
mhm,
innovation,
right.
right? Earlier, because guess what? Work need to be done by people. It's all about your people,
It is.
who
That's
you
a big.
hire, right? And
Mhm.
how you hire, how
And
you attract talents and retrain them, reskill
how you
them.
bring them on board.
Hmm.
And as Pearl said, the number one business trend is, your business model innovation. And so, in that process, you may need new skills.
Hmm.
So, how are you going to take your existing um, teams and reskill them, or give them new skill sets in order to support your new business model? So, training is important, online training, being able to bring people in. It's really optimizing the talents that you have, putting the people in the right jobs, and make it available so that your teams can pivot with you. And if it means retooling and bringing in new skills, then that's going to be a decision that you will have to make. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So with the advent of of a majority of people having to work from home,
Hmm.
business trend number three is mobile first communication. Mobile first communication is becoming the standard. So everybody is given a cell phone. Sometimes people have two phones, a business and a personal. And really, with the work at home, the faster way of communicating with people is going to be through the phone. Doesn't mean you eliminate email, but to be honest with you, email is not going to be responded to or read as quickly as a text message. And the millennials, they do everything on the phone. That is their main tool. So it's important to be able to respond to the age group of your workforce, and put in place the communication technology that they love using, right? So that also means that if we were all depending on the cell phone, that the website has to be responsive. We talked about the HR process has to be on a mobile, be able to be reached through an iPad or a smartphone, and therefore it's very important that, if you haven't, if your websites are not mobile friendly, it's time to make that switch now. So, it is about mobile first communications. You may have to set standards and guidelines for the use of texting, so that there's a common way of that your teams want to communicate. And, email is not the number one way anymore. So mobile first. So with that, Pearl, why don't you take us into trend number 4?
Yeah, the next trend is really about everything gets smaller. It becomes so much more intimate, so that people are valuing and craving actually the personal touch, right? They want to feel that they are heard, that they're important. So it's really about having that conversation, starting the dialogue, and designing your channel so that you almost like you are talking the consumers or people who are buying feel that their needs are being addressed, they're being heard. And the social media, engagement, as we talked about earlier on, with the business model innovation, you may want to make your website perhaps even more interactive, right? So you want to address and also utilize the social media to engage with your customers more, and so much faster too, so that people feel that they're being served, they're buying the value. So
Mm-hmm.
everything gets smaller is really about this trend. So there's so much more that you can really do to make it so special and so very unique. And folks then are going to be attracted. Your customers, your clients will be attracted to that once they see the value that you're providing.
Exactly. And at one time, Pearl, we used to offload or outsource all our marketing to marketing agencies and companies. And
Hmm.
you know what's happening now is consumers want to hear from the owners themselves. They want to know what
Absolutely.
happens in the back rooms and the warehouses, and when you're fixing food and packaging your products. They want to hear from you specifically.
Hmm.
And that can come in the form of a short video,
Right.
or a mini course,
Right.
or a smaller book. So even in the smaller range, where we're pushing, there's less content, but more richness in the content, and more intimate conversations.
Right.
So even the size of books are getting smaller. Typical
Hmm.
book was 284 pages. It's down to 142.
Yeah, it can be. As long as the value is there, you don't have to be that wordy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right? And in business world, we call it agile too. When you have an agile solution, you
Mhm.
really focus and you scrum it and you get it done. So that for me is also part of getting smaller.
Mhm. Absolutely. So
All right. So
uh,
there you are.
there you are, number
Trend
4.
number 4. Trend number 5. Go ahead, Pat.
Number 5. So the last of the business is number 5, which is sustainability. If we are desire to take care of Mother Earth has grown,
Hmm.
and because one of the biggest things that I have noticed is that when we went into lockdown, people worked from home. They weren't out on the roads, and we saw blue skies, less pollution, more birds.
Hmm.
And that was an awareness to everyone of the damage that we were causing to the environment. And because of that, people have now become more aware of what companies are doing. They want to know that you are focusing on creating and living a green environment. Are you conscious about recycling? are you doing your business locally versus globally? And many of us have learned that when the pandemic hit and there was a shutdown, that many of the products that were in the products that we created, or even if you were ordering products, that many of the products were made overseas. And so you weren't able to produce the products, and your products, you waited months to get a specific product because it was made from overseas.
Hmm.
And it did affect the bottom line. So companies, are now switching from going globally to locally. And and people and consumers want to know, if I buy from you, am I going to be able to readily get it, or am I on a 2-month wait because one of the ingredients is from across the pond? So people are conscious of that, and we're also conscious about the energy selections that you're making. So if you are already in that space, you're not talking about it, it's time to talk about it. Right?
Hmm.
It's time to talk about it. And for example, if you're a company that is very mindful of how you package and the materials it's made of, and you're mindful of of recycling, then you need to brag about that, because there are people that are questioning: is this company using single-use plastics? What carbon emissions are they producing,
Hmm.
high or low?
Hmm.
And all those things are beginning to matter, and 90% of the consumers are really concerned about environmental issues,
Right.
even more so. So reap the benefits if you're already doing it, and if not, this is a time for you to pivot, because
Yes.
you are being watched.
Absolutely. And isn't it just so important for companies to tie that into their mission, right?
Mhm.
To tie that into the purpose of what the company is serving. When the company pays attention and take action on their
Yeah.
sustainability, right? Sustainability, then guess what? Folks would feel that you are in the long run. You're in the game for the long run. So they would, want to buy from you more,
Hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
once again, that's totally the 5 trends of business. The business model innovation. Oh, am I missing something, Pat? Are you going to add?
Oh, no, no.
Okay.
What I was going to say is, why don't you review the 5 business models?
Yes, right. Yeah. So the 5 trends there: business model innovation,
Mm-hmm.
that includes so much more, including technology, automation changes, and so on. And the second trend is of the people: your workforce management and talent management, reskilling people, training people. And the third trend is your mobile first. That's always been the trend. We
Mm-hmm.
didn't put it on the first one because guess what? It's been the trend, but it continues to be important. So
Mm-hmm.
the mobility, being able to communicate and work anywhere else, is becoming a standard. Fourth trend is on everything gets smaller, gets intimate, right? So it gets personal. You want to address that, and your visions of the family on around the neighborhood being able to enjoy life, right, is so much more important than anything else.
Yes.
The last trend, sustainability.
Yes.
So making sure that the company is working on the green and using energy consciously. There you go. There you have it. The 5 most important business trends based on our experiences and research.
And our research, yes,
Mm-hmm.
which is very interesting. We had so much fun putting this particular segment together, and in the process, we learned so much that we couldn't really put it all together in this particular segment.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we encourage you, if you have any questions on anything that we've talked about, you want to have a further discussion on it, we'd love to be able to have a discussion on that and support you in whatever way we can. So,
Mm-hmm.
Pearl, how do they get a hold of us?
Well, people can feel free to drop us a quick note, email us at townsquaretalk.com, or they can totally put down their comments, interact with us on our YouTube channel, Facebook page.
Mhm.
Feel free to reach out to Pat, either one of us or both of us,
Yeah.
on the link there to schedule a 30-minute strategy call 30-minute mastermind call, whatever you like to have. I guess I didn't have the link there, but I will put the link out where we post this video, this recording. So our website is a great way to start too. I believe, Pat, you have that on your website too, right? To schedule. So yeah.
Absolutely. My personal website, majesticoachinggroup.com.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we're easy to find.
We are easy to find. And we have all our past episodes on YouTube.
Absolutely, yes.
So we're on Town Square Talk. We have our own channel on YouTube. So we invite you, if you want to re-listen to this particular episode or all the ones that we put together since last April, we're going on a year now. Please feel free to visit us.
Yes. And our next session, next episode.
Our next section, and this is another passion that Pearl and I have on self-care. So our episode 2 is on how to do self-care easily. So we're going to be providing all kinds of tools and techniques about self-care, and we look at self-care from a mind, body, and soul perspective. So please join us on our next session.
Yes.
And
and so it's going to be held on February 24th, same time.
There you go. Yeah, February 24th, same time.
Same time. It will be a different Zoom lock-in though, so you would need to enroll separately. So in case you are already here, audience.
And we always love to end our session with a quote. And this particular quote is by John Naisbitt. Trends, like horses, are easier to ride in the direction they are going.
Isn't that so true?
Yes. So with
that in mind,
we wish you well.
Thank you very much for joining us. See you next time.
See you next time.